In our health lead, one last grilling for HHS Secretary RFK Jr. Today he wrapped up a marathon of congressional testimony. Across 7 hearings, lawmakers pressed him on vaccine policy, measles outbreaks, and of course the Trump administration's proposed budget that would slash health care spending. Yesterday, Democratic Senator Shaheen of the great state of New Hampshire pressed RFK Jr. to release $300 million in previously congressionally approved funds for GAVI, G-A-V-I. That's a foundation that helps to vaccinate children against deadly diseases worldwide.
If this funding is not released, millions of children will die. Are you willing to release this funding that helps vaccinate millions of children?
GAVI is giving hundreds of millions of dollars to the WHO, which we got out of because it was doing such a miserable job. I asked them, is our money going to use so that you can funnel it to WHO? They refused to answer that.
Are you willing to appoint somebody from your office who can work with us to see if we can resolve those questions?
Yes, I am, Senator.
Okay.
Senator Shaheen joins us now. Senator, the Secretary also raised concerns about GAVI using older vaccine formulations that he says the U.S. and Europe no longer use. Has anyone from his team reached out to your office or you to their office? How do you plan to address these concerns so the funding can be released to save the lives of these kids?
We have reached out to his office. We're waiting to hear a response to find out if he's actually going to appoint somebody who will be willing to sit down with us and with the GAVI folks, because that's clearly not their understanding about what the issues are. And as I said in the hearing yesterday, my understanding based on the sources that we have talked to is that it is Secretary Kennedy himself who is refusing to release those funds. And I think he basically acknowledged that yesterday.
Secretary Kennedy told Senator Bill Cassidy today, Senator Bill Cassidy, Republican, Louisiana. He's a doctor. He's also the chairman of the Health Committee. He said that the next CDC director, whoever that is, can make decisions independently, regardless of political appointees. Do you believe with him?
Well, not based on his past history. I mean, he's done everything he can in his position as secretary to raise questions about the efficacy of vaccinating kids, to prevent that from happening. Now we're hearing that members of the military aren't being asked to be vaccinated against the flu vaccine. So this is something that is across this administration, and Secretary Kennedy is leading the way.
Today you questioned the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick. Lutnick says the U.S. is not selling its most advanced chips to China. You said that that's not what you're hearing, that what he says doesn't match the intelligence. What does the intelligence say about U.S. chip sales to China?
Well, we've had several very interesting hearings in Armed Services and in the Foreign Relations Committee where we have raised these concerns with members of the administration who have acknowledged that not only are we considering the advanced chips, but we're also considering machines that would help them make those advanced chips going to China. That is a huge concern. As I said in the hearing yesterday that we had on the Indo-Pacific Command with Admiral Paparo, he was asked the question about how concerned he would be if he knew that China were being sold those chips that would give them an advantage in reaching their military goals. And he raised concerns as well. So this is something that is very real, and I don't think different people and branches within the administration are talking to each other, because we're hearing one thing from Secretary Lutnick, we heard another thing from the State Department, we've heard another thing from the Department of Defense.
You also asked Lutnick about U.S.-Canada economic relations. Obviously, New Hampshire borders Canada. Here's a bit of that exchange.
Secretary Lutnick, last week you said about Canada's economic strategy, and I quote, "They suck." We have a lot of businesses in New Hampshire, small businesses who work on both sides of the border. We have all those Canadian visitors who are not coming because of your comments and comments by the administration. How does that help our economy?
It is outrageous that Canada will not put U.S. spirits on the shelf. It is insulting.
It is.
And disrespectful to America.
In an address this week, the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, said, quote, "Many of our former strengths based on our close ties to America have become weaknesses that we must correct, unquote. With the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement up for review in July, how do you expect Canada is going to approach that moment? How can the Trump administration repair this relationship if they want to?
Well, they need to stop criticizing our northern neighbor. As I said in my comments, it doesn't help the businesses of New Hampshire or the U.S. economy to have Canada go to China to do business deals and not come to the United States. So they need to engage in those talks to reauthorize USMCA, and the United States needs to stop insulting our neighbors and who have been allies and partners throughout decades in this country. I think that's where we should start.